I often say to my clients, there's a client for every price. Raising prices or charging the right price in the first place is something that a lot of female entrepreneurs struggle with. Pricing has a lot to do with self-worth, self-confidence, and self-belief. My goal with all my programs is to get women to believe in themselves. They join my programs to make more money and have more impact, but ultimately, I want them to walk away with self-worth, self-confidence, and most importantly, the belief that they can do it. So when I tell them that there's a client for every price, I often get a weird look, like they don't really believe me. And then I give them loads of examples of where I have invested in programs, where I've seen other people invest into programs and products and services. And I remind them that actually they are there right in front of me, whether it's face-to-face or on a Zoom call, after having invested in themselves. And then they kind of get it, but it takes time. And of course, sometimes you have to just try it out yourself in order to believe it. I want to give you, though, a very recent example that just happened last week. And I'm quite fascinated myself. I didn't see myself as the person that buys a product at a particular price. I'm not going to reveal too much because otherwise the story is not so exciting. But yes, just listen in. So I was scrolling through Facebook, as we do. Yes, it's easy to waste your time scrolling through Facebook, but a lot of the time I spend on Facebook, I'm actually in my Facebook groups, attending to my clients. So yeah, I have an excuse to be on Facebook. But yes, I also go through the feed, and the feed is full of ads. Yes, and sometimes I like seeing them, and sometimes I get annoyed. And there was this ad from Dyson. Now, I don't own any Dyson products, but I know the brand, and I know that they're known for, cleaning. I see them actually in a lot of restrooms, where you can dry your hands, and then you can use them, the vacuum cleaners. They are very known as well. But I didn't know that Dyson did any other products. So I was caught by surprise with the ad that I saw. They were advertising a curling iron. And the first thought that came to my mind, what? Dyson makes curling irons? And, I'm not so into curling irons and makeup and I'm not really a person that buys a lot of beauty and hair products. But since I do a lot of video, I like to have my natural curls last longer. And I have long hair, and when I come out of the shower in the morning, actually I wash my hair every day. I've heard that most women don't do that. I didn't know that. And I come out with wet, long hair, and the curls are there, but in the afternoon they're often gone because my hair is heavy. Anyway, I have ended up buying some curling irons over the last, let's say, 4 years. I started my business almost 6 years ago, so you can see this is pretty much tied to my business. I didn't care about curling irons or even drying my hair until I started to do more videos. So about 4 years ago, I probably bought my first curling iron. I think I bought it in the US. Now, US have a different plug versus Europe, so I ended up actually owning 2 curling irons. But the first curling iron I bought in the US was $30. So I'm like, yeah, I just go to CVS and buy a curling iron. The curling iron made a lot of noise when I used it. I realized I was probably burning my hair. I did not feel very comfortable using this $30 curling iron. So I asked around. I have a few friends in the US that I know use curling irons because I can see their beautiful hair. And I asked around and figured that there was a better one out there. So I ordered it online, and it's $100. So I thought, well, $100 is okay. And yes, it makes less noise. A little bit, but yes, a lot less noise. And I can see the temperature is about 350 degrees, which can't be healthy for the hair, but I put some spray into my hair first and then I use it. It sounds like I use the curling iron a lot, but believe me, it's maybe once a month. I'm really not into so much beauty and hair stuff, but yeah, for video, and especially if I'm going into a photo shoot, typically I let actually professionals do it then. I go to a makeup, have my makeup done, and I go to dry bar if I'm in the US, and if I'm in Iceland or Switzerland, I have someone do my hair. But yeah, I'm trying to do it a little bit more myself to get that curly look on video. Okay, so I have my $30 curling iron that's actually I gave away. The $100 one, yeah, I was like 350 degrees, that's a lot, but it worked. I burnt myself once on my forehead though, so I really have to learn how to use it. And in Iceland, I asked my hairdresser what curling iron he was using, and he recommended the one, so I went to the shop and get it there. And that was $200. Now, Iceland is not as cheap as the US, so that could explain the difference. Or maybe it's a better curling iron because it's actually used in a professional, hair studio. So here I was, after 4 years, buying 3 different curling irons. So I kind of have an idea of the price range of curling irons. I think that $200 is pretty much the upper limit of curling irons because that's what the pros use. Okay, coming back to the Facebook ad that I saw. Dyson doing curling irons. I was intrigued. I was not in the market for a new curling iron. I was set with my US curling iron for $100 and my Icelandic curling iron for $200. I didn't think I needed more curling irons in my life. Definitely not. But I was curious. Also, probably because I run Facebook ads myself and I teach people how to use Facebook ads to build their online businesses. And I look at Facebook ads with a little bit different angle from a marketing perspective. But as a potential curling iron user, even if I just do it once a month, I started to read the comments. I find comments to ads so interesting. Sometimes I'm shocked that the person running the ads is not paying more attention to actually what's happening. But it was clear from this ad that Dyson was on top of their game. They were replying to selective comments, not all comments. Many of the comments that I saw first was too expensive, too expensive, too expensive. And I was like, oh, now I'm even more curious because, my mantra says there's a client for every price. Because about every second comment was actually someone who had bought the curling iron. And they raved about it. The women said something like, I bought this, I will never give it back, I will never use anything else in my life, I love it. One person said, my son is even using it because he puts just on the hair drying piece and not the curling piece. And I was like, I don't get it. But anyway, they were so happy. So here I had the contrast of too expensive, too expensive, too expensive. And I thought to myself, not ideal client, not ideal client, not ideal client. And on the other hand, the women who had bought the curling iron, they raved about it. They wanted nothing else ever again. Now, my interest was going up and going up with every comment I saw. I scrolled back up to the ad, saw that somehow this was not just a curling iron, but also a hairdryer in one gadget. And what really caught my attention, and here you have to understand your ideal client well. Why do I not use a curling iron? Well, I feel I don't have a lot of time. And you know what the key reason is? I wash my hair every day. And in order to use a curling iron, your hair has to be absolutely dry. It cannot be even damp for regular curling irons. And what did it say in the ad? To use with wet hair. And here is how you find your ideal client. Because my frustration with makeup, with beauty products, with hair products, it takes time And there's always something like what I have to do first and da 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 da, and it's just like frustrating. The reason I don't use my curling iron more, the curling iron I already have, is because I always have wet hair in the morning. And there was an ad, and I saw this after I read all the comments, so I was already very interested. I'm like, I can use this on wet hair, like you've got me super duper interested. So now obviously I was going to click on, and it didn't say buy now. It said something like learn more or blah, blah, blah. So I click on the button and go to the website because now I want to know. I want to know the price because so many comments said too expensive. Well, interestingly, and I love this part, I didn't get right to the price. First, they told me that it asked me a few questions. How long is my hair? How thick is it? How curly do I want it? It was a 4-step process, very easy. There was like pictures of hairs, of women with hairs, like it was drawings, and I could pick easily. So you can easily do this on your mobile phone. Very, very super easy. It's like filling out a poll in a Facebook group. Very quick. But it made me think that they have thought this through and that they have different options, different products based on the different hairstyles or, thickness of the hair or how curly you want it. It built up trust going through the steps. And then, I don't know, after 4 questions, I come to the page and they say, this is the one we suggest. And of course, I was looking for the price. We're always looking for the price. And I was like, I'll scroll a little bit. And there's the price. $599. And I thought, well, that is expensive. But then I was like, I can use it with wet hair. Plus, the temperature doesn't go over 150 degrees. Now, who wants to ruin their hair by using a curling iron every day at 350 degrees? I don't think anyone wants to do that. So here's the thing. Dyson has figured this out. First of all, nobody should be ruining their hair. So drying your hair every day and curling it every day is probably going to ruin it, right? And they don't want to do that. So 150 degrees seems to be like a hairdryer heat, but not a curling iron heat. And they have some technology. They're Dyson, So I was very intrigued and I thought, well, it's a gadget that doesn't ruin my hair and I can use it with wet hair. Probably it's worth $600. If I would start to curl my hair, maybe not every day, but maybe twice a week, that would be worth it, right? And it probably lasts for several years. So I was starting to calculate how often I would go to the hairdresser and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, maybe the price is okay. But I didn't buy instantly. And here's the beauty about Facebook ads and retargeting. I left it because I was also on my mobile phone and I never buy anything on my mobile phone, or very rarely, I would say. But immediately they retargeted me. As I sat down to my desktop and I was still thinking about the curling iron as I went into my day. This was early morning last week. And I was so fascinated about this. I was fascinated by the ad, the comments below the ad, the positioning of, not ruining your hair with heat, that you can do it with wet hair. And Dyson, the brand known for good products in other industries, not known for curling irons. I told my husband about it. I said, this is so clever. And then he was like, looked at the link and he said, zu teuer in German, just to make fun of it because most of the comments was in German. And I was getting retargeting ads. And then I said, I want to get it. And I bought the curling iron. So if I had started this episode by telling you who buys a curling iron for $600, would the story have been as interesting? Probably not. But here's the thing. Why am I sharing this story? I'm not sharing this story so that you go and check this curling iron out, which I know you will probably do, which is funny. I'm not doing this story to advertise Dyson. I have no interest in marketing them. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. But I want to tell you that there is a client out there for every price. But you got to understand your ideal client. My frustration with curling irons was huge. I cannot curl my hair with wet hair. Another thing that worried me was to ruin my hair if I did it every day, because 350 degrees is not a good thing. And, well, of course it helped that Dyson is a known brand. But if this had been an unknown brand, they would probably had to retarget me a little bit longer, a little bit more testimonials. But ultimately, I would still probably have bought the product. So I want to remind you the next time you think that a price is too high or something is too expensive, or you don't dare to raise your own prices or really charge what you are worth, that there is a client for every price. The only thing you need to know, you need to understand that client really well. And that's what Dyson does. And that's what we can learn from this example of me buying a $600 curling iron.